I have sound now, I think. Let's do this. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. So we're starting a little bit late today, and part of that is because my internet was a little bit up and down earlier today. I'm still trying to figure out if it's going to be more up and down. I went from less than 1 megabyte per second upload speed up to about 9 megabytes per second upload speed. So hopefully it stays around that level. I've seen it upwards of 27 megabytes per second today, but we'll see how that goes. We've had some storms overnight over the last couple days, and so I don't know. There's just a little bit of wavering in my internet connection through my ISP. It's not just out here in the shop; it's also in my house with my wired connections. So we have determined that it's the ISP and whatever it, or I guess, I mean, it isn't necessarily the ISP, but it is somewhere out there from my like internet box. So there's really nothing I personally can do short of calling my ISP. So I am currently collecting evidence so that I can present it to them and be like, hey, I pay you for a stable connection. Can I get one? So yeah, we'll see how this works today. They are out there. Yeah. So hopefully we can maintain a stable connection today. We were definitely able to do that on Friday, but Monday we cut out about an hour into our stream. So fingers crossed we maintain a stable connection. So on Wednesday, since I couldn't maintain that stable connection, what I ended up doing was I made a video for YouTube. And I'm not entirely, or I guess the video will probably be posted on Wednesday. So like a week from today, I will post the video that I made. And this is a drift. It's like a hole punch. So normally when I do my holes, I do a lot of just punches. These are just like, punch and chisel set that I bought at Harbor Freight, right? This actually gets you a pretty decent hole. Like I said, it functions like a hole puncher in an office. You hammer it through your piece of steel and a plug comes out the other end, right? Well, this is a drift, and how it works is that there is a chisel, like a tiny chisel on this end of this. And so it starts with like a little slit and you hammer it all the way through your piece of steel. And so it's kind of like a buttonhole where you've got that slit and you put the round thing through that slit and it kind of increases the size. And so I can actually get a hole that is the same diameter of my punch or on a piece of steel that's the same width as the punch. So we're definitely going to be using this on Monday, probably when we're streaming the H for our Ray's Smithy sign. If you get it from Japan, it's a Tokyo drift. Yes. Welcome in, everybody. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that the connection is still being relatively stable. Welcome in, everybody. We've got an ad coming up here shortly. Let's see. Who knew there were better tools and stuff to punch than Kelvin's fist and drywall? Yeah, I mean, those punching drywall chads, So today we are going to continue working on our why that we were unable to continue working with on Monday because of the internet interruption. So once we finish this why, we'll probably take a look at what's going on in the stream. I believe I have a piece of steel that I was going to make another Friedrich's cross with. and I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep on with that plan, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Once those ads are done, I'll probably start up the forge so that we can finish our Y. We have already completed the chisel cut in this piece of steel. So from here, we're kind of just drawing it down and shaping it so that it actually looks like the letter that we're trying to make. So today I haven't bought a new propane tank this week. So we're kind of running on the dregs that I have left of the propane for the past couple of weeks. We should have plenty of propane to complete the stream today, but I may have to do 1 to 2 propane changes throughout the stream. So hopefully I've got enough in a second container that I only have to change it once. But we'll see what happens. Let's see. We've got a couple seconds left on our ad. And from there, I will start up the forge here in a second. So yeah, I guess I don't need, or I need to change my tongs. This is the tongs that I was using for the drift, and so I need these tongs so I can mess around with this guy. So yeah, it looks like the ads are done, so I'm gonna start up the forge. Let's see. Over here. There we go. Excellent. Let's see, let's see. All right, so I will put the metal in the forge and it can start up, heating up. And then I'm gonna put my headset on so that I can hear myself think. Ooh, it's always so, it's really, yeah. So my partner likes to take my headset out to mow the lawn, and so he was the last to use them, and so they're really big for my head. I gotta readjust them so they don't act weird on my head. Evening, Fenris. How are you? I am doing great. So yeah. Let's see. While we're waiting for the steel to heat up, let's see. Is there anything? What is going on this week? Okay. So Friday, which is our next stream day, I will not be in the shop. I am taking a field trip and I am going to be going to the BAM meeting. That is the Blacksmith Association of Missouri. It is a chapter of Abana, and they are having their semi-annual conference, and I will actually be attending. So I'm not sure if I will be able to stream on Friday. If I can, it'll probably be a very short stream, 30 minutes to an hour, just because it will be streaming on my phone data. And I want to make sure that I don't overuse the amount of data that I have. So we'll see how that goes. And like, it might be a little bit unstable because I'll be walking around doing a tour of the facility and everything that's going on there. So I really want to do a tour, kind of show you all of the different sites. They have a tailgate sale. I'd like to show you some of that stuff. And they have demos all day from Thursday through Saturday. So we'll see if I can take you to one of those demos for a little bit. If that happens, if we, I show you guys the demo and we start streaming it, I probably won't do much talking because I don't want to talk through the demo. That's kind of rude. But yeah, we'll see how much streaming I can do at that event. I will keep you posted up on the Discord to, if something changes and I'm unable to stream. Or I'll let you know when I'm able to stream. It might not be at our normal time of 1:30 Central, or I guess 2:30 Central Eastern. So I'll kind of keep you guys posted on what time I'm able to do things on Friday. So I'm really looking forward to going. It's going to be amazing meeting all of the new Smiths and, walking around and learning stuff. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. So because of my internet instability, it's taken me quite a bit of time to finish the Raise Smithy sign, the letters for it. So I'm hoping to finish that by the end of next week, if I can manage that. And if that's the case, then I will be able to edit it for YouTube relatively quickly. And I'm hoping I can manage that. I've got quite a bit of videos already lined up, so I'll kind of slide it in there. I've got 3 videos planned from the conference. I've got the sign that I need to post once we finish it. And I've got a couple other ideas for videos. We did pretty well with our beginner anvil short series on YouTube, so I want to do a longer video on anvils and what to look for when you are looking to purchase a new anvil or a new to you anvil. So I've gotten a couple ideas for things that I want to do. I want to talk about using a ball bearing when you are looking at a new anvil. And, just a couple tips and tricks to kind of give you an idea of how to rate an anvil, how to know what you're getting when you go and take a look at it. Let's see. I have a couple other ideas for videos, and we will also be starting our coal forge project on the stream itself. So our next project after the Raise Smithy sign, the bottom part, is going to be us fabricating a new coal forge that I can use this summer for some forge welding projects that I have in mind. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. I have to get a couple more pieces of stock, and we'll be ready for that. But it's going to be much more fabrication, like welding and things like that. Beck, sorry, my PC decided to restart. Aw. That's lame, but it's all right. You're back. And we haven't really started doing anything terribly, interesting. We're kind of just going over some news stuff. So welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Stock the stock. I do need to stock the stock. Yeah. Shall we make the shaft longer and ball bearing? Yeah. So the reason I want to get a hold of a ball bearing is just just a steel ball. And the easiest way to get a steel ball is a ball bearing. And the reason that I use a ball bearing when I am looking at a new anvil is because we really care about the amount of bounce and kickback that we get on an anvil, right? So that's like when you drop your hammer, the amount of return that you get. So you've got that nice bounce and it comes back up into your hand, right? So you use the ball bearing to kind of measure that, right? So you take the ball bearing in your hand and you put it about, shoulder height over the anvil, and you kind of drop that ball bearing onto the center of the face of that anvil, and you pay attention to how high it bounces. The higher it bounces, the better the return, and the more efficient and the better that anvil is. So they're even in actual anvils, like like hay buttons and like uh, like the real anvils, Trentons, and all of those anvils. They have the amount of return actually, it varies a lot. So you kind of want to look at what you're getting, and a ball bearing is a great way to do that. It's kind of like when you go and buy a car and you kick the tires. You know, that's like what bouncing a ball bearing is kind of like. Good evening, Sandwich. How's the internet holding up? My anvil is real, Boston. It is a real anvil. My internet is a little bit variable today. I've seen it go from 0.23 megabytes per second upload speed all the way up to 9 megabytes per second. 9 is pretty decent. That's the last I saw, so hopefully it stays around that level. Yesterday I was up to 27 megabytes per second, which is speedy. And but last night we had a storm, and so it's just the rain and the wind and everything. It's kind of being a little bit weird. We have though determined that the problem is not on our end as far as from the internet box to our machines. There is an issue somewhere along the line from our internet box out towards the ISP. So that could be anything from the cable that is directly coming into the box, like our box, all the way down into the ISP. So I'm starting to. I have a list or a folder of screenshots of all of my speed tests that we're going to take to the ISP and be like, is there something that you guys can do? What can we do? And we'll go from there once I have enough of them, I think. AOE 2, sure, blame your ISP, right? My connection is 10 megabytes per second and up, and 4 megabytes down. Always not much more or less. Yeah, I mean, it should be a really, really high connection. My internet speed should be really, really fast. I'm not sure why it just like clocks down momentarily. It's only in 5 to 10 minute bursts where it's like really low, and then it goes back up again. But if I can't predict when those are going to happen, it can interrupt the stream, and I really hate that it does that. So hopefully 1311. Yeah, I know. The goal is if I present this folder of speed test screenshots with like the times and dates, they can kind of tell us, what's happening. And I mean, if it is on our end somewhere along the line, they can tell us that too. So yeah. It looks like the metal is almost heated up. So yeah. Have you seen the range extenders that you can get on Amazon? Plug it in between you and your router, and it should smooth it out. Yeah, I actually have. I have a set of extender pods. So it's a set of 3. So we've got the router box, and then we have 3 extensions, and one is less than 15 feet away from this area right here. And the range on those is about 25 feet. So I get plenty of bandwidth out here if I have bandwidth to begin with. So yeah. It does not seem to be the Wi-Fi. Yeah. Did you think about your handheld chisel? If the router does not get a better connection, no extender will help. Yes, exactly. And I did actually come up with a solution for the chisels. Give me 1 second because I think I left it on the counter. I'll be right back. Let's see. Ah, soda. Okay, I'm back. All right, so what this is, I ordered this online on Wednesday, and this thing is great, right? So what this is it's a test tube holder, right? So this thing's great, right? So you take your chisel, and it holds it just like a test tube, right? Then you can spin it whatever direction that you want, and it holds it pretty well. Not up and down, but it holds it like side to side pretty well. So I'm pretty excited about that. We'll be able to hold that and use the hammer, right? So test tube holder. We'll see. We'll try these out. True, the issue seems to be the line then. Could be a damaged cable creating noise on the line intermittently. It sounds like Wi-Fi congestion at first, but noise on the line but would be my second guess. Nice. Or congestion in something that overloaded the connection. Could be anything. Well, honestly, I really think that it is actually the storms are doing something, because I know for a fact that our both our cable and our power is above ground. We have these like wooden poles, and like there's cables that dangle down between the poles, right? And we have also been having some issues with our power in general. And I really think that the storms are kind of jostling the cables quite a bit with the rain and the wind. Because we've also been getting power surges. Like, I am so grateful that we have surge protectors on all of the important gadgets in our house. But yeah, I've had at least 3 power surges in the past 2 days. So, I mean, between the power and the internet, it's just, I think the storms are screwing with the cables. Yeah, underground cables are a godsend in the UK. In the US, everything is above ground. Over here, pretty much everything is underground. Yeah, like we have so many above ground cables. And like, it kind of irritated me because they, like, about 3 years ago, they dug in our front yard to lay in, because we're out in the boonies, so we were on a septic tank for a really long time. And they finally dug in front of our house to put us on a city sewer line. So like I guess an underground sewer line. And at that point, they dug in the infrastructure for underground power and cable lines, right? And they put fiber under there last year, but they haven't moved any of our power or our cable lines under there yet. So I just, I wish that they would just do that, bite the bullet, and, spend the money to put it underneath the ground. Because, like, above ground, it's awful. Because anytime there's a storm, it jostles everything. People's power goes out. It's not fun. So, yeah. All right, I am going to take this guy out of the forge, and we're going to start shaping it. Okay. I'm going to put this, I think, over here, probably. And I'm actually going to start the record function. Is this, it's a little bit on the blurry side, it looks like. Can you? All right, let's hand. Here, I will stop the recording function, and then we will see about putting us into manual focus so I can. Oh, come on. You want to focus on my chair. There we go. That's better. Sorry about that, guys. Every time I want to like give you a better view of over the anvil and not like the base of the anvil, and then the autofocus is always like, no, I want to focus on something in the background. All right, so we are going to grab the steel. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start moving one side of this Y downward. We want to separate these two guys so we can kind of clean them up. There's a little bit of flashing there that we want to get rid of. So I'm going to take that over here. And we're going to kind of fix that a little bit. All right. Okay, we'll put this back in the forge. Many miniature burns. Because the Y has been in and out of the forge, it's starting to develop a lot of scale. And so as I'm hammering it, it's flying off in random places and hitting me in the hand. So, I mean, it's you know, a hazard of the job. Ahoy, Ray. Hi, Jack. How are you? Oh, that is nothing. In Germany, we would dig up the street and put in the sewer and close it up. Half a year later, open up the street to put the power line and close it up. A year later, open up the street and put in fiber for the internet and close it up. 2 years later, maybe eventually potentially connect the fiber or not, because it is all different companies, different projects, different permissions. Yeah, I don't know. I really wish they just open it all up and do it all at the same time. I mean, coordinate as companies, because I can never get grass to grow in that area, and it's just a mud pit. And then, you know, anybody who is walking along through, you know, the yard, because there isn't a sidewalk there, has to walk through all this nasty mud, and I need to grow grass there, you know. And it also interrupts my driveway. They opened up my driveway to put some of the stuff down, and so it's been a mess, and I just, you know, I wish they'd get it all done at once. One of these days, you know? But I mean, in the United States, we actually have a lot of our infrastructure is being built on the back of really old infrastructure. So it's not really like it's not as stable as a area that is being freshly built with their infrastructure. So, because like all of our internet cables and our power cables are all piggybacked on the back of, like, you know, 50-year-old power grid, and it's just, you know, it's I guess it's what you've got to deal with when, you know, you don't want to turn off the power and or cable for the entire area for days or weeks at a time. So I don't know, one of these days. How goes the Bink Bonk? Well, so far it seems to be doing pretty well. Because I've been doing a lot of putting it in and out of the forge. Um, we're developing a lot of scale and we're losing a lot of material, but I think that we'll be all right in general. I Where did I put it? Oh, I put it over here. I bought myself a test tube holder. I'm hoping that I can, securely hold all of my punches with the test tube holder. It holds the test tubes pretty securely, and the punches aren't too much smaller than that. So I'm hoping that, I get enough security from this that I can just hammer on it. And it's really easy to take them on and off. So, this is my new experiment. It cost me like $3. I got free shipping on Amazon. So, because I have Amazon Prime. Ooh, neat. Over here, you do not need internet as long as you have a fax machine. Some river grip padding might help with that with a firmer grip. It might. However, part of why I am not inclined to put rubber on that is because this guy is a punch and it is designed to actually go all the way through the hole, right? So it starts out with this like chisel on the very end and it creates a little slit. And then you hammer the entire punch all the way through the hole because it expands the little slit all the way through to the 1/2-inch stock that is the apex, and then it goes all the way through on the little taper on the back. So as it goes all the way through, it heats up the entirety of the punch. And so I'm afraid that if I put rubber on the thing and, it'll kind of melt off, I guess. So, I mean, there's that as an issue. This one I made on Wednesday. I still need to do a little bit of work on it over on the belt grinder so that because there's a lot of scale still on here. But I'm actually looking forward to working with it on Monday. So, and then I also made a video of making it. So look for that probably next week. So it's disposable rubber, exactly. I hold mine in a set of Wolfjaw tongs, usually if you ever wanted another tong project. Yeah, I always want tong projects. I make tongs specific for projects a lot of times. So there will always be another set of tongs in the future. I will probably wait a little bit longer before I make a set of tongs because we just made a set. But we will eventually make another set. That's kind of how it goes in the blacksmith shop. I mean, I've only been smithing for a few years overall, if I were to smash all of them together. So I haven't quite gotten as huge of a collection of tongs as I feel like I need as a professional blacksmith. So more tongs are on the way, but we'll wait a little bit longer. None of the tongs will ever hold it right. They always hold it good enough. Exactly. So I don't know. Maybe I just need to make a set of tongs specifically to hold chisels. I kind of feel like the 2 hooks and the 1 hook that kind of like hook together idea would probably be ideal if I could ever manage to make it work. So it would be kind of like a 3-tooth kind of thing design, maybe. That's kind of the idea that I have in my head of how I would go about it. Nice. There are never too many tongs. Always. There are never enough tongs. And we will also be making a few pieces of shop equipment. So I'm looking into, eventually we're going to make a stock holder so that I can get all of my bar stock off the ground. I also want to make another hammer rack because this guy is so full right now. I don't have enough room for all my hammers. Railroad spike tong jaws might provide some inspiration for similar designs of that. Yeah, there are some really great railroad spike tong designs that I've seen on the internet. I think I don't really want to remake the wheel if I can manage it, or reinvent the wheel. I kind of want to find something that will function, that I can just like find the plans for and follow the plans, because I do so much reinventing of the wheel already, in ways that I don't even need to do. Um, so hopefully I can find some plans that I can only slightly modify. So right now we are in the middle of an ad. We have about 45 seconds left on that. So I will wait until that's done, and then we'll do another heat on the Y. You know why they say about displacement in combustion engines? The only thing that it better than more of it is even more of it. Yes, the only thing better than a thing is more of that thing. But then there's also like that saying that too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So I don't know, you know? We will see, but I really don't. I think it will take me a really, really long time to get to the point where I have too many tongs. All right, so it looks like our ad is done, and so I'm going to do another heat. And you know what? There we go. See if I can pull this out here. Maybe. But I forgot to change my camera, so let me do that real fast as well. There we go. Okie doke. Let's get in here. Let's get to it. Ah! Alrighty. So this side is going to be a lot longer than this side because when I cut this, I kind of gave myself a diagonal, and so it got a little bit skinny towards the back here. So we're going to kind of try and correct that a little bit. We'll draw this down so it's a similar width to this side, and then if we need to, we'll cut off the end here, just so that we get a relatively similar size. And when we are done with what I'm doing over here, we'll probably also turn this around and draw out the back end a little bit as well. We'll see what we can get done on that. So yeah, they always say, you know, that there's never too much of a good thing, but sometimes they also say, you know, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. You know, too much water becomes a poison, and you know, you can die from drowning and whatnot. So I mean, there's that. But like I said, I don't think there will ever be a time where I will be drowning in tongs. Speaking of tongs and getting more tongs, I promised myself that I wasn't going to spend any money at the tailgate sale on Friday. So, you know, you guys can mark that I promise that I'm not going to spend money at the tailgate sale, because I have already spent enough money getting down to the conference that I don't have a lot of wiggle room for funds to buy new tools because I still need to fund the videos and the projects that we're doing here. So, you know, you guys can keep me honest. If I come home with, you know, more tools because I bought them from the tailgate sale, you know, you guys can chastise me. But what if they're really cool? Exactly. Dihydrogen monoxide is dangerous stuff. Every year, hundreds of people die from inhalation. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But yes, even if there is really cool tools at the tailgate sale, I really need to refrain because it is costing us an arm and a leg to get down there. Well, not because, you know, it's an arm and a leg, like it's really expensive, but mostly because I have a very limited set budget for our stream and the YouTube channel because I'm not making money yet. So all of my budget is, you know, from the grace of, you know, my partner, who funds our time together, and I'm grateful for that. But I only have so much of an allowance, so I have to make sure that I put it in places that I can get the most bang for our buck. So, have you ever made a Viking style anvil? I have not, although it is on my bucket list of things that I would love to do. A Viking anvil is a small stand-up anvil that can be placed in. Usually it's placed in like a stump. Sometimes it's placed in a hardy hole of another anvil, but it's a really small anvil. It's got a top that's about yay big, and it's got a tiny little horn so that you can do more scroll work and things with it. Like I said, I have not made one myself. I have some friends who have made them in the past, and they look so cool. It is on my bucket list of things that I want to do, along with hammers and other hammer making tools. So there will be a time at some point where we will start making tools to make tools. I think that I want to start doing hammer eye drifts and maybe a tomahawk drift. And you know, a Viking anvil may be within that series of objects that we're making. I have a lot of tool steel around here, like large chunks of tool steel that I have bought over the years with the mind of creating hammers. And I'd like to actually get some use out of it. It's all just been hanging out in the shop for years, and you know, you buy the things that you say you're gonna do, and then you never get around to it. So we're gonna do it this year sometime. Yeah, I want to also make a Viking anvil or two just so that I can have a good office anvils. Can I make a drift recommendation or work at home anvils? Yeah. Yes, Jack, definitely. I would love any advice you have on drifts because the only plans I have are like just the stuff that I see online and you know, the videos that I've seen. Like Alex Steelhead has made some good videos on the drifts that Brian Brazil does, or like the designs that Brian Brazil uses. But I am always looking for good advice on that kind of stuff. So yes, bring it on. I can draw you a Viking style scroll knife. You can make it pretty easy to do. Yeah. The sometime at the end of there was a pretty funny addition. Yeah. Do you mean the woman's knife? Northern Tools sells an Ironton broadhead bullpen. It's a medium carbon 10-inch item that is approximately drift shaped. Ooh, that would be so much better than me hand making it, because if I can buy something you know, it'll make it a lot easier, and I'll be able to do much more stuff quicker. So that was, what was that? $12 for an iron ton broadhead bullpen. All right. I'm going to put this in the Discord so that I remember it. Da, da, da. Because, you know, if I don't, then I will forget by the end of the stream, and that is an amazingly great idea. All right, so project suggestions. I guess I'll just stick it there. It is a IRON, iron ton broadhead. Bullpen or bullpen. Whoops. All right, it is now in the Discord. Where most blacksmith strips are very expensive, so if it's not the shape you want, you can reshape it. I've used mine for years. I made the same recommendation to Texas Space Agency. He bought it and uses it as well. Excellent. That is exciting. I was hoping that there would be some way that I could just buy one, because, like I said, it will save me a lot of time and frustration trying to figure out the perfect shape for that. Because I can find the plans online. I'm confident in that. It's just that, you know, interpreting the paper plans or even a video is oftentimes a little bit harder to internalize than just, like, you know, or for me. And I'll do it wrong the first, like, time or two. So if I could just buy something, that's the best way for me. It's normally used as a kitchen tool rather than a weapon. But it's just a fun little craft that works some different techniques, and it's good for beginners or advanced smiths alike. If you'd like to send that to me, Fenris, go for it. That if you could put that in the Discord so that I don't, like, lose it within the chat, that would be amazing. I would be very grateful. I'll take a look at it. We'll see if maybe we can fit it in as a project here. I don't normally do sharps on this stream, and it's mostly because I really, really hate grinding things. But I mean, you know, you never know. Depending on how easy or simple it would be, I could totally see myself doing it. Like, I know that at one point I did volunteer that I would do a blacksmith's knife. We ended up voting against it and voted for a 3-prong fork instead of making a blacksmith knife. But I could always bring that project back if you guys would like it. What exactly are you doing crafting again, if I might ask? Right now we are making a sign. This is SMI, and it will be a T and an H and a Y, so it's going to be Smithy. It's going to be a sign, and each of the letters are a different technique. So right now we're working on the Y, and the technique that we were focusing on was using a hot cut chisel. It was a hand chisel, not like a hardy chisel. But we separated the two, or a piece of steel in half, and we're kind of going to shape it into a Y. Yeah, that's why it's called woman's knife, because it's used to be worn by women on their apron for easy access. I mean, yeah, that could be an interesting project. You know, maybe if I make one, I can, like, wear it on me. I don't know. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna do another heat real fast. And there we go. Let's see what we can get done. I can and get the piece out of the forge. I'm really bad about putting my stuff in the back of it. All right. All right, so now if we look at the two sides of this, we're starting to get a similar width on this leg as we have on this leg. Like I said, I kind of had a shift in the drift. We didn't cut that exactly in half. So yeah, we're just gonna keep on drawing this out a little bit further to make that thin enough. Then from there, I think I want to kind of change gears a little bit. We'll hold it horizontally and kind of hammer on the corner to kind of clean up that separation a little bit. We've got a little bit of flashing there and extra cut. And I want to kind of smooth out that transition between the two legs. That will also be how we, start doing the drawdown on this top section here. I put pics in your Discord if you want to take a look at some point. I planned to make a bigger kitchen knife and made it that way, but when I fucked up, and burned the handle, and I burned the handle part. Okay. Is this also your real job? Are you also a blacksmith in real life? Fenris, check out. Okay. So I am actually, I was a blacksmith, like a working blacksmith and a professional blacksmith. I have in the past been a blacksmith that is paid on commission work, right? I have also been a jeweler. Right now, this is my job, so streaming blacksmithing. So I don't know if I would say that my job is streaming content creation or blacksmithing. Right now, I'd probably say that I am a professional blacksmith because I am using blacksmithing specifically as a way to, make money, even if it is through content creation. I have a Twitch channel, obviously, since that's why you're here and that's what we're doing right now. But I also have a YouTube channel where I post videos. I post shorts and long form videos. I also post my VODs there. This is kind of how I'm making my money at the moment. And I am also, supported very generously by my partner because right now I'm so new that I can't support myself with just what I make off of content creation because I've spent the last 5 years just too sick to really do anything. So this is my effort to get back out here into the shop and actually start making money and doing things again. So I guess that's kind of how I'm at right now. Check out the pics real quick and confirm that it is what you meant. Exactly that style. You could also forge a handle square and put a twist in it. You beat me to it. Oh, for sure. Both. Content creating blacksmith. Yes. Okay, I see a blacksmith teacher. You're doing a good explaining it very well, probably. Fenris, thank you so much for the gift. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Santana Seppa, thank you so much for that, the gifted sub. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate the support. I don't ask directly for money. If you guys would like to support me, I am always grateful. but I never asked for anything specifically because, you know, I want to be able to be here for any level of engagement. And, you know, so thank you so much for your support. I very much appreciate those subscriptions. Oh, it was Fenris. Thank you, Fenris. Thank you so much for those gifted subs. And I will add those to the end screen at the end of that I show at the end of the stream every time. Well, every time I don't get cut off by my internet. But thank you so much, Fenris, for those generous subscriptions. Thank you so much. It's all good. Payday today, so I get a little leeway with the wife and my pocket money for a few days. Awesome. That's always good, you know, when the spouse gives you your allowance. Okay. It looks like my propane tank is starting to slow down, so I think what I'm going to do is I am going to switch the tanks. So because it's just not quite as hot as I need it to be. So we're going to switch the tanks. There might be a second switch in this stream today because I haven't bought a new tank of propane this week. And I'm kind of trying to use up a little bit of the ends of some of the propanes that I have bought over the past month. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we turn off and we shut the propane tank and unhook it. I use 20-pound pigs because they're really easy to exchange around here. I don't have to maintain the tanks, and it's just easier for me in my location. But if I was smart and more economical, I would buy a bigger tank because the bigger tanks don't freeze as badly as these 20-pound pigs. These are the same ones that you would use for a gas propane barbecue grill. So they're really little. They last for about a week for me. And since I stream for about 9 hours, you know, it's not too bad. But the big 100-pounders would last like a long time. And they wouldn't freeze nearly as badly. One of these days I'll upgrade. But for the moment, it's easier for me to do this by myself than to bother my partner with exchanges. All right. Let's restart this forge. All right, there we go. Much more better. There we go. Let's see if I can't catch up. Just good money being handed for some of us who get burning holes in their pockets, maybe. I do get burned holes in my pockets. 100%. I hand my money to my wife to manage for me. Otherwise, I'd spend it in a day. I surrender that responsibility freely. I mean, you know, there are... it says unstable. Okay. Yeah, there are, you know, in a partnership, if somebody is better at something than the other person, that is completely understandable, you know. I do that as well. All right, so we have change the tank, so it's going to take me a little bit for the forge to heat up just a little bit further, because all of the heat that we lost when the burner was out, we have to build that up again. So it's going to take me a little bit longer between heats, but overall, I think it should be okay. Just a little bit longer. We didn't lose all that much heat. All right. Let's see. It's starting to get warm in here. I might have to open up my garage door, which is like directly behind the camera. So I think I'll do that. So I apologize for the momentary noise, but it'll bring some extra breeze in here. I've got this door right here wide open for ventilation, but when I open the garage door, I get some cross breeze. It's pretty cool outside today because it was raining all last night, and so I'm hoping that I can get the outdoors in here. Ooh, it's already starting to cool down. That's exciting. Twitch is playing up again for me. Keeps kicking me out of chat. Have you tried to open and close the doors again? I have opened the garage door, and I do open this door a lot, so I get a nice cross breeze. It looks like my connection is a little bit unstable, according to Twitch itself. So I haven't completely dropped yet, but I'm probably going to be a little bit laggy for you guys. It seems like the monitor that I have on OBS says that it's stabilized for the moment, but I apologize for the instability. Computer scientist solution. Turn it off and turn it back on is the way to go. That's always the way to go. The first thing that I do anytime I have an issue with the computer is turn it off and turn it back on in hopes that, I don't know, some programs are not talking well together. And usually it fixes it. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it gives me like a blue screen of death. And then I have to talk to my partner. But overall, turn it off and turn it back on is a really good solution. It's kind of stupid how many problems turning things off and on again fixes. Exactly. Man, I was having some issues with my belt grinder the other day. It just like decided that it was going to stop. And so I turned it off, I unplugged it, I waited for it to finish turning. I took the belt off, I put it back on, I plugged it back in and turned it on, and it was beautiful. It worked just like it always has. I don't know, percussive maintenance and stuff. It's because it empties the RAM in the computer and then it can start again. Yeah. Because then any like weirdness that's going on with like ghosting and things like that, sometimes when you shut off a program, it doesn't completely shut itself off. So when you refresh your computer's power, then it definitely will shut all of that down. Yeah, fair. And I think Windows is coded in a way that if you let it run too long, it'll start screwing up. And it definitely, I feel like it does. I mean, there's so many background processes that Windows puts in there nowadays. So much RAM is taken up by that. All right. The forge is finally heated again, so I'm going to do another heat real fast. Well, once the ad is done, because it looks like we got an ad coming up. You know the old joke, a mechanic, a chemist, and a computer scientist are in a car which breaks down. The chemist wants to analyze the fuel for problems. The mechanic wants to disassemble the engine. The computer scientist has an easier solution. Let's all get out, open and close all the doors, and it will run again. Don't overdo the percussive maintenance, though. I had an hammer to the motherboard accident twice, and I got to check out how broken it is. Oh, goodness gracious. Jeez. Yeah, you got to be a little careful with your percussive maintenance. Make sure that, it's a gentle tap and not a smash. I mean, if I were to use this on my computer, I think that I would probably break it. But a gentle tap, sometimes that'll kick start it into action. Although I tend not to do percussive maintenance on my computer products. A lot of my shop equipment, I can just smack it with a hammer or with my steel toe boot, and that works. But computers, I would be a little bit more careful. Well, I used the hammer as a weight to hold down the CPU fan. Huh. Would that work? Did that work? Did it work for a while before it broke, or was this like a maybe I shouldn't have tried that kind of thing? I use a glass or a glass water bottle before. I see. I hope it didn't have any water in it. Yeah. All right. Once this ad is done, I will do another heat. We're going to continue to kind of figure out, or I guess we're going to draw down the leg, and then I'm going to switch tongs, and I'm going to use this pair because we've got a nice horizontal like angle so that we can hold it horizontally, and then I'm going to hammer it on the edge of the anvil, and we'll see what we can do with that. Percussive maintenance can be dangerous, but arms are wide. I use a glass. Oh yes. I did, because why else would it weigh? Maybe just maybe use a better fitting fan with a proper fastener. I mean, that's the sensible option, but a quick fix kind of tends to become a long fix. That's definitely true. I have a quick fix on my press to hold the dies in, and every once in a while they fall apart, and I still put them back together with that same fix, and I just keep going at it because it hasn't annoyed me enough to fix it the proper way. And that's how it works sometimes. Okay. Ping, greetings, welcome in. We are having a grand old time today here in the smithy. The internet is a little bit wobbly, but we haven't had any drops so far. We've had a little bit of lag, but I think that we're all right for the moment. Knock on wood. A saying in German: provisional solution hold up the longest. I mean, yeah, we have a saying like that too here. If it fix it. See if I can get this out of here. All right, I forgot to change my cameras. Got it. Okay, there we go. I think we're all right now. Let me check my thingy things real fast. Make sure that I am recording. I seem to be recording all right for the moment. Okay. Let's get this going. All right, so we're going to continue on this guy, drawing it down just a little bit further. I think I should just go over here. It's a little less loud. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with the width of that. So now, whoops, as I hammer on my tongs themselves. So now I'm going to grab a hold of this piece of material this direction. If I can do that here, let me pass it. You know, okay, we'll pass it just like so. And then what we're gonna start doing now is we're going to, I think I might try it on this side. Hammer on the end, and really what we're trying to do is kind of clean up that little middle section there. So I'm going to heat this up again so that I don't crack it when I'm doing this, and we're going to kind of finish that cut and kind of clean up that little area right there. Maybe I will put it in like so. There we go. Man, chat is on fire today. We've got lots of chatters. That is awesome. I love that. The sound is a bit wonky, especially when you walk over to the forge. It's not a solution, but it's a better solution. But worse than a good solution, yes. The sound is a bit wonky. I wonder. I wonder if it is, well, okay, I know for a fact that the noise or the background noise gets worse when I move over to the forge because then I'm closer to that noise and it just can't quite cut out as much. But also my shirts I have really thin clothing, and because I have the lav mic inside my shirt, it kind of, when the fabric moves, it kind of moves around in there, so I kind of have to readjust it when I lean over. So I will try to be better about that. It's fine when you are close enough to the receiver, I guess. It's not noise, but drops in transmission, I guess. That's weird. Huh. That is really weird. I wonder. If I look at the transmitter, it seems like it's broadcasting all right. At the anvil, it's still fine most of the time. Well, I mean, I haven't really had a problem that I have noticed. Huh. Well, keep an eye on it, and if it gets too bad, I'll see what I can do. Honestly, I'm not sure. Like I said, honestly, I think it's because it moves around in my shirt, and there's also the other thing that it could be is, let me out and take a look at it. So, the way this sits on my clothing, it's like a little microphone or whatever. So the way this actually sits in my clothes is with a magnet, right? And microphones work by using magnets. And if the magnet is kind of weird because of all of the steel shaping in the area, I mean, theoretically it could, mess with it a little bit. I doubt it, but I mean, maybe. So if I clean all of the metal shavings off the magnet, it should work a little better. All right. Just do not say something too important over at the forge. I give it a closer listen next time. I think you might want to restart the stream basic. Okay, now I heard it. Now it was cutting out, but you moved it. Or when you moved it, is there a bad connection? It did just juggle when I grabbed it. So, I mean, it's probably because when I'm moving the magnet around, it kind of, the magnetic field messes with it a little bit. I do notice that when when the magnet starts moving around, it kind of, it moves a little bit, I guess. The sound kind of cuts in and out a little bit. And I noticed that when I was editing the VOD. Are you really slowing down again? Yeah, it's slowing down again. Of course. Of course. I am pretty sure it's not the magnet. Okay. Like, seems like you were clearing it and it did jumble. Just testing. I need a guess so we can figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's not the magnet. I mean, you guys are probably more smarter about that kind of stuff than I am. So I don't know. If there's something that you guys think that I can do, let me know. I do need to change the tank again. Apparently, I picked a low one. I'm sorry about that. So I don't know. I moved the transceiver closer to me. To me, it seems like an intermittent transition. Yeah, it is a bit after you pointed it out. Okay, that's kind of weird. Where is the receiver located? Right at the computer. I have a short thing. I don't know. Maybe it's like, whoops. I moved the transceiver closer to me, so it is right there. So if I lean to about here, it's within an arm's reach. So I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I will ask my partner about it. He is the expert on all things digital media. So I apologize. All right, let's try this again. I have another tank. Here's one. Hopefully this one has enough in it to finish out our stream. We spent a decent amount on groceries this week, so I was hoping I could get away with not using a tank today. But I'm kind of regretting not doing it. All right. All right, let's try this a third time. Okay. It got worse by the forge. Okay, just learning how it go. I don't know. Like I said, when I go like this, is it bad now? I mean, because this is the motion that I'm typically doing at the forge, and it does tilt the mic towards my sternum. Arm's reach is no guarantee, but I have a set of wireless headphones. Some days they work great, and some days they keep popping and dropping out right next to the transceiver. It fully goes away while copying data over to the USB. No, it's not the motion. Okay. I don't know. I try. But I definitely cannot fix the transceiver. It would be nice to know before this weekend that the transceiver is going to work for me. But, you know, I don't know that I have enough time to kind of mess with it. Now you were body blocking a bit and hunched over the yellow bar. I don't know. It might be that I'm body blocking it. I don't know. I try. All right, I am going to flip my clips, and then what I'm gonna do is I am gonna cycle the power. Okay, while switching the cans. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna cycle the power on my. Oh, I mean this part is nitpicking. Okay. Well, if I need to cycle the power on my sound, let me know. I want good sound for you guys, and I also need to have good sound for the video or like videos that I'm doing. So I don't know. I guess I could cycle the power, but yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. There's only so much that I can do with the technology that I have at any given time, unfortunately. I can kind of ignore it because I'm more invested in what you do. Okay. Well, if that's all right, then, I mean, I do my best, and there will be a time where I will update and replace the microphones that I have because, my partner needs a set of them for for work, and we just haven't had the funds to buy another set recently, so we'll get there eventually. I mean, my mic is the only camera I got. Yeah. All right. Huh. I I hope that this can holds out for the rest of the stream. Um, like I said, I did not buy a new can this week, and I probably should have. I hope that this can lasts, so hopefully, I don't have to change it again. I have seen the roads with other streamers. They seem to work pretty well. Yeah, I'm using a uh, full aim XS. It comes in a little case like so. The receiver goes in here. The one that I use, which is the left, goes here and the right goes here. You can put them in iPhones or in Android. They're really nice. I like them a lot. However, they're I use them a lot more frequently than they're designed to be used. It's working reasonably well. Like, we can hear and understand most of the time. All right. Yeah, I know that my sound, it could be better, and eventually we will upgrade the sound. I think the cameras are about as good as I can get reasonably, but the sound is kind of, it could be a weak link, or it is the weakest of the links in my stream. We'll eventually upgrade them, but it'll probably take me a little bit before I get the funds to do that. So we do what we can with the equipment we've got. Yeah, the image is great. Yeah, I'm using 2 DSLR cameras. So I've got a Panasonic, is it a S5? And an S3, I think. So they're really great quality cameras. These are cameras that were actually used for my local news station, and they got decommissioned and I got them. So yeah, they are great cameras. My only issue is that I sometimes fight with the S3's autofocus, but I have decided that I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm just going to put it in manual focus if I have to, because I don't move it all that often. So yeah, if it goes out of focus, I will just manual focus it. Very cool. Ask them to decommission some wireless microphones. See, the thing about the news station is that they don't have enough wireless microphones themselves. That's why my partner is all like only begrudgingly giving me this set, because he needs this set for work. And he's like, But I mean, we own this set, so like they really shouldn't be asking him to use it. So we do what we can. All right. I'm gonna do another heat real fast. There we go. Okay. All right, so we've kind of cleaned up inside that area a little bit further. And I think that's all right for the moment. So I think the next thing that we're gonna do is kind of clean up on this side. And then we're gonna start going over to the thick end here, and we're gonna draw that down a little bit further. So I think I'm going to put this back in the forge. If I can get it back in the forge. Maybe the technology stuff isn't my weak link, and really it's my forge. I struggle with that thing so much. I mean, you know, maybe I'll just stop using the gas forge for a while, and we'll do once we finish our coal forge, and we'll use that for a while. Nice. Did I get this right on that? The second mic is in the box and turned on. Maybe the set as a whole does not like that. So when I close the box, the second microphone gets turned off automatically. So there is a function within the box. It has a UV disinfectant light. So opening the box will actually turn it on and disengage the disinfect part of the microphones. So when I close the box, it will. It turns it off. And the reason I close the box is because the receiver will actually pick up both, and then they'll get an echo if I leave it open. Thank you so much, Ping. You are great. You are an excellent mod, Ping. Thank you so much. I do have a tendency to get really nervous when I'm trying to troubleshoot the technology issues. So yes, it would be much better to talk about it in private messaging at while I'm not live streaming itself. So yeah, let's get back to the project. Or any questions about blacksmithing in general, I'm always happy to answer these questions. Yeah. Like I said, I really want to do a longer video on anvils. I want to do a video about what to look for in an anvil. So we will talk about return, and we'll kind of talk about the pros and cons of different designs, I think. So I'm really looking forward to that. That should be a good one. What is the project you're working on? Understandable. We are working on a raised smithy sign. Right now we have the S, the M, and the I. I have a T, but I'm just not happy with it. The T is right here, but I mismeasured this guy, so it's really short compared to the rest of the letters in the sign. So if I, compare the size there, it's just a little guy, and I want to correct that. So I have another piece of material here, and I want to redo this project. So if we can get the Y taken care of, then I will definitely we'll start doing another T. I don't think we're gonna have time this time though. Looks like a plus sign. It does look like a plus sign, and it really should look more like a T. So right now we're actually working on the Y. So I have kind of split the two, like the V shape on a Y. So, there's a Y that's it's got the V and it's got the little tail. So I've split the two Y letters. So now I'm going to turn it around and we're going to draw out the leg or the tail of the Y. So next week we will start working on the H because that is a much more technically challenging project. I actually had to make a tool for it. So I made this, it's called a drift, and basically it starts out with a chisel on one end, and then it tapers back into a round hole, or like a round section that will create a hole. It kind of works like a buttonhole, right? Your buttonhole, it's like just like a vertical rip, or slice in the shirt, and then it opens up so that you can fit the button through it. And so that's what this tool does. It creates like a buttonhole effect. Oh, the Y, this is cool. It is just too short compared to the others. That's what she said. Yep. Not to nitpick, but you should have had you could have some fun with getting some of the bending curvatures. I forget what the word was. Twisting. Yeah, I did a bunch of twists. So for our eye, for the raised smithy, we did 4 twists on that. And the 4 twists that we got was this lovely pineapple twist. We did a basic twist, we did a fluted twist, we did the pineapple twist, and the one that is on the wall right now is a staircase twist. So I would also love to do a little bit of scrolling so we can get a little bit of a bend in it. So you know how the Y, it's sometimes you get that little curve on the bottom of the tail. I'd like to do something like that. I'm not sure if we will be able to get it with this particular Y, but it would be kind of cool. So yeah, we definitely did some twisting. We did 4 different eyes and we voted on which one we liked the best. All right, I am going to do another heat. If I can get this out of the forge again. One of these days. Okay. So we're going to focus a little on the tail of this Y. We're going to start drawing it down a little bit. It's really, really fat, and we're going to thin it out. Whoa! Or we're going to fling it across the shop. That might work too. All right. I'm going to put this back in the forge real fast, and we'll do another heat in a few. Want to heat this back up a little bit. There we go. It'll stick in there just like so. All right. The S&M comes after Steam. Oh, stream, yeah. Nice, Papa. I guess on the wall it doesn't see, or it doesn't show up too much. If I can take it down, I think. Okay, it actually is relatively cool. All right, so this is our staircase twist, and you can kind of see how that worked. We created all of these little blocks on here. We used an angle grinder to put the this little groove in the edges, and then I did horizontal cuts in there too to get that nice staircase look. I've also heard this twist called a Rubik's Cube twist. So yeah. I flicked a thing once on accident on a fair and it landed just outside a porcelain shop. Ooh. Yeah, it was a really fun project to do. I was really excited for this. All right, so back on the wall he goes. So we're going to add the rest of the letters up there as soon as I'm finished with them. Like I said, I'm kind of struggling a little bit with the second half of Smithy. We are also going to be doing a raise sign. So it's just like RAE and then apostrophe S. So what we're going to do with that one is we're going to do a piece of sheet steel about yay big. And then we are going to cut out the letters. So we'll have sheet steel and then we will have negative letters. And then I bought LED strips and I will be applying LED strips onto the back side of the sign, and they have an app on my phone where we can change or we can reprogram them to like change colors and things like that. So I'll see if I can't like figure out a way to link it to you guys so you guys can change it. I heard that Kiri has a redemption that allows you guys to change the color of the LED lights around her bench. So I think it would be really cool if I can figure out a way to do that. Well, I feel bad missing out. Can you make a jaw tong thing to make the grooves too? I have made a few sets of tongs on stream. I've made 2 sets of tongs on stream. We did a set of scrolling tongs, and then we also made a set of bolt tongs. I always post my VODs up on YouTube, so if they're not there on if Twitch has already deleted them, they are all up on my YouTube channel under the same handle. So you can take a look. There are edited videos of both the scrolling tongs and the bolt tongs and several other projects that we've done throughout our time here. Otherwise, you can watch full VODs if you'd like to. They're up as well, and they're all in different playlists. So I've got a playlist of my shorts, a playlist of my long form videos, and a playlist of my VODs. So that way you don't have to look through everything that I post. I think it's not even a redemption. This one is for free, just a command. Yeah, okay. If it's just a command, I mean, I'll see if I can link it somehow. I'm not sure how that works. I will have to do research. I know that the set of lights that I have has a phone app attached to it. So once I make that, and I will probably be using a weekend to make that, I probably won't make that on stream. But I will definitely video that process and post it on my YouTube, and we'll hang it up as soon as it's done. Not just a tong per se, but like a jaw that you can hammer. Are you talking about maybe a blacksmith's helper? It's like a little guillotine thing. It goes in your hardy hole, and it's kind of got like a little die, or it's a bottom die, and then you have a top die, and you hammer on the top die. Is that what you're talking about? Those are usually called a blacksmith's helper or a guillotine die. I have not made one of those. I got a pick, but it's on the computer I broke the motherboard on. Ooh. Makes sense. All right. I'm going to do another heat on this guy. Not exactly that either. Okay. I'll have to think on that one. All right, so I think for my next heat, what I'm gonna do is I'm probably going to move this, or like straighten out these little V-shaped, like the little, I don't know, legs on the Y, I guess is what I'm gonna call them. That way we can kind of shape it a little bit. It might be a little bit easier to get it in and out of the forge, and it'll probably also be a little bit easier for me to hang on to. So I think that's what I'm gonna do next. So I will put it in the forge this direction. All right. More like a clamp tool. I don't know. I don't think that I have ever made like a clamp tool. Let's see. Or maybe if you might be talking about so like there are different types of dies that you can put on a press or a power hammer, and there's so like it allows you to make specific shapes um, on or between two dies. So I mean, maybe if maybe that's what you're talking about. Like I said, I've not made anything quite like that. I've made a few specific dies for doing things like convex and concave bracelets, but and those are called semi-soidal curves. So basically, it is a shape that curves this direction at the same time it curves this direction. So two different directions. And you can kind of make bracelets and things like that. So I've made a few dies for things like that, but I've never made anything that like is more like a clamp or a set of tongs. But you can do that. I found a pick. All right. Well, you can post the pic on my Discord if you'd like. I tend not to have people post links in my chat just because they get lost and I don't get to see them, and the auto mods don't really like them. I sent the pic in the Discord. Okay. Let's see if I can find it. Because I'd really like to answer your question. Pictures. Oh, a spring swage. That's what we call those here in the US. We call those spring swages. So basically, it is two dies that are in between like a long handle, and the handle is actually springy. So when you use them with a press or a power hammer, when the dies separate, or when the I guess when the dies separate, the littler dies on the spring swage, they also separate. So it's kind of like a clamp. But yeah, I have not actually made any spring swages myself. Not the bestest pick, but you can gander. Yeah, those are called spring swages. There might be a time when I use those. I don't know. I mean, I've never made one myself because I've never really had a need to. But they work very, very well for as a jig, so that you can make a lot of the same object. So yeah. They are something that I will make if I need to make them, but I just don't have a project for them right now. I have watched people make them. I saw, or when I was doing, or I went to someone's demo and they made a set of spring swages that would make little acorns. So they're inside of the little spring swage. They're like little blocks of steel, and they have a mold, I guess. I'm going to call it a mold of an acorn. And so you put a bar of steel inside or in between the two blocks of steel with those indents in them, and it created little acorns that we welded onto things. So that was a really cool project. Okay. Let me check my camera footage real fast. We have talked a lot today. Okay. I've got that all set up and nice. Good. Okay, so we're gonna kind of straighten this out a little bit. I think I want this guy to move a little bit further this way. Let's see if I can't pick this up a little better. There we go. Ah! I started moving this, and let's see if I can get a smaller set of tongs. It'll hold them a little bit better. All right. I can't move it too much further because if I do, I could break it right off of there. So I'm going to heat this up again. We're starting to get that shape that I want, but we're not quite there yet. I sent another one if you want to have a gander, and the products too. Oh, that's a shovel one. It looks like you posted a shovel swage. That's really cool. I've made a couple shovels and spatulas before, but I did them as a hand forge. I didn't use any sort of jigs or anything like that. I just hand forged them. You can do that with by hand, or you can do that with jigs. They also have, like, when they're manufacturing shovels, there are actually large power hammers that have dies that are like 10, 15 feet long, and each little area of the die is divided into a different process. So when you're making a shovel, it's just like this power hammer. It just opens and closes for forever. And so you take a hot piece of metal and you just bring it down on every die, every process. It's pretty cool. Uh-oh, yeah. What is uh-oh? What happened? Oh, I have crashed, I think. It looks like I've crashed. Starting to drop a bunch of frames. Am I back? Maybe I'm back. The stream took a slight dive. Stream became stuttery. You're back. Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks like I dropped a whole bunch of frames, according to OBS. So like I said, my internet has been a little bit wobbly all day. So I knew that was a risk when I came out here, but I still wanted to stream. So hopefully it levels out a little bit. Yes, currently you're back. Okay, so did the VOD divide? I hope it didn't. So maybe the mic problems are related. I mean, it could be. I don't know. However, okay, so if my stream actually drops, not just like a stutter or frame drops, but if OBS crashes, I will probably end the stream for the day, because it's just I don't want to have to mess around with it. I have worried about technology a little bit too much today already. So if we actively drop, I will probably end the stream a little bit early. But yeah, because we're almost at 2 hours already. Okay, just a stutter and no lost lost frames. Okay, cool. All right. I am gonna do another heat. I think. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do another heat. That sounds like a thing that I would do. Okay. So I'm kind of trying to shape this a little bit as we're going. I think I'll do this way. Maybe I'll do it over here because it might work a little better. Yeah, it'll work better over here. Okay. I've got a little bit of weirdness going on because this guy is kind of like moved downwards, and this guy is kind of weirdly shaped. So I think I'm going to try and correct that real fast. We'll see what I can do there. Try not to break them apart. But I caused myself a lot of problems because initially when I did the chisel cut, I didn't do it in a straight right through the center. And so I am having to work through some problems that I have caused myself. It's one of those things where, you know, if you are not careful in the beginning and you don't correct things immediately, they come back to bite you. You know the good all song frame drops keep falling on my head? Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for the follow, One True Maxon. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of the support that I get. I love new followers and new community members. So welcome to the community. All right, one water down. And I dropped it on the floor. Being able to do the groove instead of angle grinding is you forge it so you don't lose material. Yes. So what I did was I took a chisel and I actively cut the material in half, and I lost a lot less material that way. Because, you know, when you are using an angle grinder, you lose the width of the material that the grinder goes or bites through, right? So there is always that like loss of material. So by using a chisel instead, I have preserved all of that material and I've kind of shoved it out of the way. However, I was not very careful about lining up my cut correctly. And so one side got a little bit thicker than the other side. So I'm having to kind of correct that right now. And I'm struggling a little bit. I like the outcome for sure, and I hadn't seen that method before. I wish I was there to watch. Yeah. So like I said, I post all my VODs up to YouTube, and that way people can watch them on their own time. I know that I stream in the US really early in the day, in the early afternoon. So there are a lot of people who watch my streams from the VODs on YouTube. So yeah. I prepared 2 waters today because I have a tendency to go through more than just my 1 water every time I come out to stream. So hopefully, I actually 2 was enough. The other day, it definitely wasn't. On Friday, I drank almost 3. Okay, let's do another heat. Whoops, I did that wrong. How about we do this, and then we do that. I am not here to be a critic, and I love your work. I'm just trying to share what I know. Yeah. I am never one to shy away from critique. If you have advice for me, or, if you notice something that I could be doing better, let me know. We all learn here. This is a learning community. I'm not the only teacher. Okay, let's see if I can't correct this a little bit. We've kind of like curled this a little bit. So I don't know, maybe I want to take this over and like untwist it. That might work pretty well. Or I could probably hammer directly on this area right here. That might work as well. We'll see what I can do. I'll heat this up again. I'm not getting a lot of work done because I think what I'm actively doing right now is kind of figuring out what I need to do. Yeah, I think I'm kind of working the problem a little bit. I don't have a set in stone solution, so I'm kind of trying things and seeing what happens. How to untwist it, a bench vise. So I have a post vise over here. So what I will probably try and do is I will clamp it in my post vise, and then I will probably see if I can't use, a nice crescent wrench to untwist it. We'll see what we can do. So if I set this relatively close to where I think it might be, then I won't have to adjust it so much, and I should be able to twist it pretty easily. So I'll move this over here. Untwisting can also be done by rounding up and then making it square again, and that is definitely the case. And I might do that if untwisting it at the post vise doesn't work. I mean, maybe I might do it. Like I said, I'm kind of working the problem, trying some things and seeing what happens. So basically, I'm trying to clean it up a little bit because, like I said, it wasn't a straight cut. So yeah, I do need to draw down that end a little bit, and I'd like to do that by the end of the stream if I can manage it. So I mean, I might round it out and square it out again. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I have definitely done the same. Yeah. So like I said, some of these techniques I haven't done in a really long time. I was a blacksmith for about 10 years, more of a hobbyist blacksmith than for a while of that. The last like 2 or 3 years, I was a professional blacksmith that actually actively took commissions and made money, but that was 5 years ago, right? So I stopped in 2020 because I got sick. And it's been about 5 years since I've been back in the since I got back in the shop. I stepped foot back in the shop in November of last year, and so I've been back about 6 months. And I've gotten to the point where I can forge for about 3 hours, but I'm also kind of like remembering how to do things. There's a lot of techniques that I don't quite remember how to do them. So I am relearning a little bit. It's taking me a lot less time to relearn than, when I initially learned. But I mean, I'm very rusty. There are things that I forget all the time. So, I mean, I want to be honest with that. I know a lot of technical things about blacksmithing and metal and all of this stuff, but I don't know everything. And I am learning to. You are great at explaining things, though. Sometimes I wonder if you burn a little too much gas while doing so. Then again, I don't use gas forge, so I don't know. I definitely burn way too much gas. I am the least efficient blacksmith, I swear. But I like to teach stuff. All right. Oh, wait, you know what? I was going to do the thing, so let's see about doing it this way. All right. So we're getting somewhere. We're getting a little somewhere. Haha. There we go. That's better. So I have untwisted it with the hammer. I guess I didn't really need to use the post vise. It seems to be working all right. Let's smooth that out a little bit. All right. Straighten it out a little bit. Then we're going to, I think I actually like that pretty well. We'll try it that way a little bit. So I don't know. I think that looks kind of Y-ish. I think I can handle that. So now I think I'm going to focus on this section right here. We're finished working the problem, I think. I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to come over here and grab my universal tongs, because my universal tongs can hold this tiny little leg here pretty securely. And then we will forge out that thick section so that this Y will actually fit with the rest of the letters. So the goal is to get it about the right size for that. And it's almost there already. So let's do it. Do it to it. The other side is using coal and burning the metal, like having the forge too hot and burn the metal while explaining. I have done that too many times. Not explaining part, but the burning part. Yeah, I have a tendency, that's part of why I opted to use a propane forge for the stream, because I have a tendency to get really into talking to all of you. And if I was using a coal forge while talking to you as much as I do, I would burn the material. So I'm gonna have to, once we start using the new coal forge, I'm gonna have to start really monitoring the coal forge to make sure that we don't burn our stuff. The other thing that can happen when you spend too much time talking and not enough time tending to your metal is you can actually decarbonize a tool steel. So if you're using a tool steel with a high carbon content and you leave your metal inside the forge too long, what you can actually do is burn up that carbon inside of your your steel. So you want to definitely keep that in mind if you are using tool steel in a coal forge. Oh, it hotter? And it really, it's not about how much hotter it is. Really, it is the oxygen or the oxygen mixture with the flame, right? So the propane to oxygen mixture in a propane forge is not the right mix. It won't allow the metal to tip over the melting threshold, right? So it'll tip over the melting point, but it's kind of like with water, when you freeze it to a certain point and you kind of freeze your water bottle and you can like pour it out and it'll freeze as you're pouring it. It's kind of the same thing. Or like when you've got a frozen bottle of water, but it's not actually frozen, and you slam it on the bar and it freezes in the cup. That's kind of what it is. Yeah, and gas is more consistent. And we have an ad going right now. I'm going to change the propane tank real fast. I do want to do a little bit here, but I don't have enough propane to do it. And like I said, I should have bought a new propane tank and I did not do that. So I will change this one more time. We'll probably be out here for maybe a little bit longer, like a half an hour more. Yeah. A lot of bladesmiths use gas because it's easier to do even heat, and it definitely is. Part of what is really good about propane is that, or propane forges, you can get a really even heat, but you can definitely get a pinpoint heat with the coal forge. And I definitely apologize if you guys can't hear me because I'm over here by the forge. I'm trying not to body block it. So yeah. I'll try and do this real fast. But this guy froze up on me. Or maybe it didn't freeze up. Maybe it's empty. Is this one? This one is thawed enough, I think. I should be able to get a little bit longer on this one. Let's try this. Like I said, I'm probably only going to be out here for another half an hour or so. And that is because I have a few things that I need to get done today. But we should be done with our Y by the end of today. I just want to do a little bit of shaping on that leg or the tail of that Y. And my partner just got home, so there's a noise coming out of the carport. All right, let's see about restarting it one last time. I apologize for all of the tank changes today. Come on. Hi. I'll be in a few. I just want to finish this last thing. All right, well, it looks like I don't have enough propane in that one. Okay, so no problem on the not hearing. Okay, I am having a problem with propane, though, because I don't have enough propane to continue the stream, I think. Erg. I don't think there's enough in this one or in any of these other ones. I will try this one and we'll see, but if not, I guess I will be forced to stop the stream because I should have bought a new thing of propane and I didn't, and I apologize, guys. Let me try this one last tank and we'll see if I can't make it work. I'm gonna try really, really hard. All right. Oh, come on. You were finger tight like half a second ago, but now you're locking together. So the worst part about propane is like the regulators. They are brass, and the inside of the tanks are also brass. They kind of lock together, but they're also a little bit on the softer side. So it is a little bit challenging sometimes to keep them from locking together. I mean, you want them to lock together, but sometimes if you like drop it or don't take care of it, those threads kind of get a little bit bent, and then it's almost impossible to make them work together. Come on, open up. Jeez. That's awesome. It's the correct direction. All right, I cannot get that open, so I'm so sorry, guys. It's a propane situation, very propane situation. Yeah, sure. If you can't finish while switching the fuel, I'd say leave it for next time. I don't mean to be an evil sense. Or I don't mean it in an evil sense. Yeah, I think I'm going to end the stream. Like I said, I tried all of my propane tanks, and, you know, I'm out. I'm out this time. So I will definitely, I will keep in touch for this weekend. Like I said, I will be at the BAM meeting in Central Missouri on Friday. So I will try to stream. And if I am not available to, or if I can't make it function, then I will see you on Monday. But you guys have a great weekend if I don't see you Friday. Thank you so much for coming and having fun with me. Thanks for the stream. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much. All right, let's go outro. There we go. So if anybody has any suggestions for someone to raid, let me know. Otherwise, I will, well, I guess I am going to check out and see if I can't find somebody anyway. But yeah, if there's anybody that you have as a suggestion for who to raid, let me know quickly. Otherwise, I will send you off. Thanks for the stream. You're welcome, guys. Let's see. What is Lone Mountain doing today? Lone Mountain makes a really good raid target because he starts around the time that we leave. All right. It looks like he is streaming, so we will raid off to Lone Mountain. Oh, Crochet 70. If you guys want to see Crochet, all right. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with Lone Mountain just because I like to stick around the same genre. Textiles is close to us, but they're still kind of an upstairs art, if that makes sense. Upstairs is like softer arts, like painting and drawing and stuff. It's kind of a art school term, I guess. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Have a lovely rest of your day. I think we're going to raid Lone Mountain. And so have a lovely weekend. And I will be sharing with you my weekend as well. Maybe if I can get my computer to do the thing that I tell it to do, it would help. Oh, come on. All right, here we go. Thank you so much, guys. You have been amazing.